And I have to let you into a bit of a fanboy moment, because although I kind of had a little bit of connection and I've spoken to these guys prior to today, just seeing them greet each other before the event started was just like, I stood back and was like, wow, I wish I could have caught that on. You know, the sheer admiration, respect, and you know, love for each other, I think, is clear for certainly for us to see. So how we're going to do this then is I've got, and for you guys, there's also this up there if you can see that. Great. So I worked that out earlier on. It's like, that's a bit of a hint, so I don't have to strain on next. Is I'm going to ask a couple of questions to the players individual, to the guys individually. I'll give a chance for a couple of invited audience questions, and then I'll come back to kind of close this part of the talk off by asking the questions at the bottom. So what I'd like to do, we'll go in order of, in fact we'll do it the way you're sitting, because that makes it easier for me to keep track of. So Hutch, as a running back, what would be some of the sort of the key insights for playing and being an effective running back? From your point of view?
So, from a player's perspective, it's all about getting your body in shape, doing the work behind the scenes, lifting the weights, running the hills, in the books. When I say in the books, I mean in the playbook, understanding the playbook, understanding where you need to be on specific plays. It's all of that to start off with was what I worked with. You know, with regards to American football, where the route that I took, not many people played the game. So I was pretty much doing this stuff by myself. My friends were like, no, we will play soccer. We don't play American football. So I did this stuff pretty much by myself. But as my career carried on, moved on, and I started being around better teams, i.e. the London Olympians, that's when things started to really open up for me, and that's when my game really took off. The insight for coaching for me was when I first started playing the game, I couldn't differentiate the difference between a good coach and a bad coach, right? Because I just started out. But as I went through my career, I started to look at coaches, and what worked for me was a coach that could communicate. Okay? A coach that could communicate with me, a coach that could make me feel comfortable and wanted, a coach that was patient to break down the playbook, to break down the plays, where I'm supposed to be and why. Okay, that was pivotal for me. There were some coaches that I didn't get on with because there was a personality clash. There were some coaches that I got on with because, you know, they understood me and they wanted to work to get the best out of me, if that makes sense. So to me, a good coach is a coach that can identify what I need to get better. Look at me as a player, look at the gaps that need the work and put things in place to raise me up. And I was kind of fortunate, I kind of got that.
Victor, same question, same sort of position.
I would say the coaches are good at what they do, but I would say it's the man management, being able to talk to people and the tone that you use. I would say that my coaching has developed based on all the coaches I've come into contact with. Lance Cole, as you had up on the screen, he was very good at that. And then even though I went to, another one was Larry Keenan, he was good, very, very good at that. If you were losing, you didn't see him, he was sweating and pacing up and down. You just had to look at him and just say, if he's still smiling, we're going to win this game. And that's what happened at the end of the game, we won. But I've seen coaches who have literally just looking downcast, and it's like to see if they're lost. And I never enjoyed playing for those coaches.
And as a player, did you fed off of that?
You see, the thing is, you get to differentiate what's good for you and what you would like to gravitate towards, and what you keep away from and what you stay away from, because there were bad habits and good habits. I've traveled and I've seen some coaches in the British American Football League, and I'm like, damn, you know, they could learn something as opposed to just yelling at the players, shouting at them. using expletives, but just use expletives and then do it in a context that suits that moment in time. But when the play is gone, it's gone.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do about it. You know, if a player makes a mistake, give him a chance to go in and prove that he can recover from that mistake. Don't take him off and leave him on the bench and like, oh yeah, that's it. You know, you see that all the time, from both in the pro level and amateur. It's just not good. But I think the good traits are to manage somebody, know your players individually. Because they're not all the same. They're all different shapes and sizes, different abilities. They all come together. It's like a melting pot of ingredients to make the soup taste better.
Yeah.
You understand? So that's what I got out of that. And I just use the good points that I've gotten from Coach Larry Keenan. Another one is, oh gosh, I can't. Lionel Taylor.
Right,
Lionel Taylor, definitely. I can't. Got to mention that man. You know, he always used to say things, but he said it in context. And then if he had a moment, he'll pull you aside and talk to you. You know, he'll talk to you and explain things to you, be it before, after the game or whatnot.
Yeah.
But it's a game of pressure, you know.
So just to bring it back, because Hutch taken us down a really interesting avenue, and again, following today, I'm going to try and connect with these guys and the other Hall of Famers to go into a more detailed conversation around some of the playing stuff and also some of the coaching related stuff as well. But in terms of being coached then by such greats as Larry Keenan, LT, and Lance Cohn and others, what were the things you took from them as, I could have just pinned you down to be a running back for now, but I know you were so much more than that. But as a running back, and maybe even for the defensive guys in here, also as a defensive lineman, what were some of the key sort of lessons you learned as a player?
I worked hard during the off season. I never had an off season until I stopped playing. Technically, I'm not retired. I'm just letting you know. I'm never going to retire from the sport. But all it is the hard work you put in that people don't get to see. That's not for them, it's for you. So when game day comes, or the season starts, you're ready. You know, you're ready. And that's one thing I noticed about people in the NFL, so-called NFL players. When the season's done, they just wild out. But for me, I couldn't do that. I always found that I had to stay a certain level so that I could compete with them at their level that they were at. And some of them I out-excelled. But I know that within myself. Because when the season came, you saw how they trained and how you trained, you'd be like, really? You know? But you know, we as players from this part of the pond, I can sincerely say that those here, and then some, like Trevor and Nigel, Rowell, Hutch, Jerry, Scott, and all the other players, you know, European players, we put the work in. We did. But I would never say we got the recognition we deserve.
For sure.
I would say that right off the bat, we didn't.
For sure.
We didn't. But we still got on with it, and still, you know, played the game as we loved it. Yeah,
brilliant. Thank you. Both tight end and defensive end. So I won't again take you away.
What question should I answer first?
So what are the key characteristics for you as a player that you know, would like to share?
Okay, for me as a player, it's being prepared. I'm all about details. You know, and like Hutch and Rowe will tell you, you know, when the season ended, we took maybe 3 weeks off, and we start track work, we start the hill work. You know, first session, we'd have, guarantee you, someone would be throwing up, and it wouldn't be me.
Nor me.
Someone would be throwing up.
I'm just letting you know, not me. I might be out of gas, but
and it was all about
throwing up.
It was all about being prepared, because as Victor just said, we never got the recognition as athletes that I feel we deserved also from some of the American coaches, not all of them, because you know we played in a time where it was American football and they thought it was their sport and it should only remain their sport. It's part of life, but that in itself sets a challenge.
Yeah.
When it comes to coaching is just a name. You know, if you're a good coach, you're a good teacher, you're a good communicator. And one of the challenges I find with some coaches is that they don't understand how to communicate to their group of players. They think if they say it and a group gets it, they don't understand why everyone else does get it. They need to understand, treat everyone as if they're, your kids. You teach them how to walk, right? Then you hold their hands so they can take that first step, then you let them go. You have to show some, okay? You can tell some who'll get it, and then you literally have to walk some through it. Don't think because you verbalized it and the group get it that you're not the problem. Okay, if my players can't play football, it's on me. Do they understand what I'm trying to get them to do? If they don't, what do I need to do to make it easier for them to understand? Because ultimately, the goal is for them to be able to play at their best, at the highest level they can. I think also, from my experience in UK, when working with kids, Victor mentioned it. I've heard coaches effing blind at kids who are under 18, and I just don't get it. I just don't understand how you can expect someone to put on a shoulder pads, a helmet, and run through a brick wall for you if you're going to abuse them. Okay, mentally prepared. Coaches that I've learned my lessons from, and some of them is how to be and how not to be. Bobby Hammond, number one. LT, Coach Z, Coach Rick, Tony Allen, Ray Rosie. There's been a bunch of them who I've taken a lot of things from, and some I've just totally discarded.
You just say who Coach Z is? I don't know
Coach Seaman, he was the defense coordinator. He was Bob. He was just like
He was OC at the Monarchs, right?
yeah. He was just
That's Seattle.
he treated you like just as a person. Forget the football, okay? Because our football season, our football career is only for a time. Even though Victor hasn't retired yet, we're still people at the end of the day. Okay, so you have to understand you've got to treat people not as their players, but as people. And what you find in the NFL now, there's an involvement of where they're trying to educate these players to be better people rather than just football players, because they've been used to their hand being held from maybe the age of 12, 13, because they're elite level athletes that when they get to the stage in their careers end after 3-4 seasons, they're totally confused. They don't know how to be anywhere, where to be, because for 10, 12 years of their life they've been told, this is where you'll be, this is the time you'll be there, okay, we'll get you there, this is your dress code. They're people. Okay, so it's a whole education process. I don't want to go off on a rant, but
I like
coaching,
the way this is going.
yeah,
It's not
listen, for all you coaches out there, understand this, I don't care what level you're coaching at, you have to be able to communicate and look to self first if your communication doesn't affect everybody. What can you do that is different to get your message across? Because if your players aren't on the same page, do not expect to be successful. And just on my last thing, understand what your level of success is. Is it winning trophies, or is it developing people, okay, for the long term? There's a two-way street. Think about it. I'm done.
Okay, again, I'm quite happy. This is like game day, isn't it? You put a game plan together, first quarter they come out in 3-by-1 and it's bunch or it's spread, and you just go, I wasn't expecting that. Right, let's adapt this. So where would you like to take that, Scott?
Oh God. Technically, just to talk about the position wide receiver, I would say it gets split. As coaches, you need to kind of focus on 3 different aspects at wide receiver. There's the wrists up, there's the neck up, and then there's a bit in between. And only certain aspects of that are really coachable. The neck up bits, the X and the O's, it's the understanding. That's teaching. They have to have a football brain, and you've got to be able to read defences, etc. Wrists up, hands, catching the ball. Can you coach it? Can you teach someone how to catch a ball? Apart from thumbs together, pinkies together, everything after that is just reps. Get them to catch as many footballs as they can, because then they'll fire it and wire it. It just needs to become automatic for them. And the bit in between, yes, you can teach them. This is a fundamentals based game. From being a kid to being an elite athlete, it all comes down to your fundamentals. And you can never forget that, no matter what level. I mean, we were speaking earlier, I'm not as athletically blessed as a lot of these Hall of Famers. No, never was, but I tried to make the best of what I had in between. And that involved, like the guy saying, most of my coaching experience is with youth. So to me, I never coached a lot of adults, and I would imagine you get a lot of ingrained bad habits by then. So I've never needed to break anyone down to build them back up. So it was good that I could always start with a blank sheet and coach fundamentals, because that's where it all begins and ends. But as coaches, you can only explain to them that showing up for practice, I guess a lot of the amateur teams are practicing once a week and then a game day. That's not really going to get you anywhere. You need to obviously explain to them that what you teach them and what you coach them, they have to take away. And on the other days of the week, that's when they have to implement it, catch as many footballs as they can, but work on the other stuff. Get in the gym, get with a strength and conditioning coach, because that's the only way they'll get better. But you can't control that. They have to control that, and it's your job as coaches to explain to them, show them the light, show them what can happen because of that hard work, and hope that they get that message. So you can only do your part, but a lot of what your success will be down to them being able to take it away and have the state of mind to do that.
Yeah. And both your work with the Claymores and Jerry, your work with the NFL, developing young kids through flag football, which possibly is the future for our sport, and got great massive growth, aligned to character development, aligned to sporting excellence that you've all talked about. That's part of the package that we've got to set the environment for those other people to grow in and blossom in. I'm gonna go off script, so I'm gonna turn this open to the audience. So whilst we've got these four greats on the stage, are there any particular questions that people want to ask? We've got a couple of mics if you won't need one, will you, Spoonie? So Spoonie.
Yeah, firstly, I just want to say thank you to all you guys, both the ones on the stage and those who are to come for your contribution to sport. It's a real pleasure and privilege to have you guys here, so thank you. One question, something I've been pondering a lot recently, so I'm coaching in Great Britain at the moment. I had a stint doing it in the past as well in GA, and so I've been around that level of sport for a long time. I've noticed that it's no...
For me, he was an inspiration to me for the simple reason he helped me to drop my shoulders and relax. He had confidence in me, in what he thought I could do and I could do. That was a pivotal change of coaching. So all the other coaches there, these guys have mentioned, but I've got to give Gene a shout out.
Okay, Victor, you kind of said yours. Scott?
Coach Carroll, who's now the Seahawks head coach, yeah, he was definitely, he's got man.
Name dropper, from being the first person who took you the junior team you gave up the time. Quick name check for Vince O'Caldy. We've spoken, one of the messages I picked up here is you need to be a coach, you need to care. And it sounds like a lot, and we were speaking about this earlier, a lot of the guys we met in the pro game didn't really care about us as national players. These guys had the athletic ability to be as good, if not better, than a lot of the allocated players. We used to get their metrics would have blown people away if they'd ever been given it at the combine and stuff. You needed a coach to care about that and care that they wanted to improve them as players and get them at the best stage. And I was absolutely lucky that when I was with the Claymores, a coach came in who could have went, he runs a full 9, he weighs 160 pounds, they put his face in the newspaper now and again, great, but he cared enough to coach me to not just get in the drills and run drills, he coached the shit out of me. And coaching I never got even at any of the amateur levels or whatever, but it was high school level coaching, it was fundamentals coaching. But that week I was with the Chicago Bears, no one coached. They just ran drills. So that coach, Vince O'Caldy, gave me 10 years of a professional career by absolutely breaking everything down to fundamentals for my position. Another guy, maybe some of you guys know, Jeff Rainbow.
Jeff's a good friend of mine.
Jeff is ridiculous. What if you ever got a chance to speak to Jeff?
Definitely.
He's just one of those guys. You say, if he said run through the brick wall, you'd be like, which one? And one message that I wanted to get across, I was lucky to work with Jeff in a lot of youth coaching things, and I remember him saying to us once, you know, maybe over a beer at night or whatever. He says, what you've got to remember as a coach, you've got to be a role model, not just about football, but for life. You may well be the single most important male role model, authority figure in that person's life, and never forget that. And you know, everything Jeff did, I thought was touch with class. And I say that, I know that there's female coaches, etc. I caveat that, but that's all I wanted to finish with.
You've got to know who you are. I know what I could do on the field, but more importantly, my coach also knew what I could do on the field. And it's having confidence in the player to do what he's got to do on the field. So the example I'm giving you is that when I'm told I've got to do this, and this, that just messes me up as a player, because I'm an instinctive player. I think, as Scott talked about earlier, I've got the foundations. You've got to make sure the players have got the foundations of the game. But after that, in some respects, you've got to let them play. You've got to let their instincts play. And I relate to Tony Dorsett, because when he went to the Dallas Cowboys, Tom Landry, you've got to do this, you've got to hit that hole, you've got to hit that hole, you can't go anywhere else, you've got to hit that hole, right? And Tony's like, well, the hole's not there, I'm going to go somewhere else, right? And that was me. At the end of the day, for me, it was I go where I see, and it's as simple as that. And the coach has to recognise that, what play that you've got. I think, secondly, I think as a coach,
the key insight into a position. I mean, I played DB, safety in particular. The biggest thing, and it's constant, no matter what level of football you're at, is your fundamentals. I don't care if you're Pee-wee team, youth team, or you're a Super Bowl team. The fundamentals are absolutely the same throughout that whole journey, throughout that whole scope. Those are the things that makes, firstly, your athletes better, whatever position, and then as a consequence of that, the team gets better, and as a consequence of that, you end up winning. And if you're a good coach, then to be able to management, you create some kind of a mini dynasty. We want you as Ravens, Olympians, Bulls.
Shout out to the Warriors.
Shout out to the Warriors.
Adult football only.
But that's what happens. I mean, the thing you can pinpoint in all these good fundamentals, coaches that, I'm one of these coaches that drive for that all the time. It's no use, for me, it's no use having this great coaching manual, coaching book, call it what you want, those great ideas. Without fundamentals, none of that happens. Absolutely none. When I say fundamentals, for me, as going back to the first question again, from a safety perspective, footwork.
Yet, coach. Reason being, it was. I spoke to someone earlier in the year about it. It was the way I felt as a player that I didn't get into coaching. I didn't feel like, I'm just gonna let you coaches out there know, if you've got decent players on your team or not decent players, you need to make them feel that they appreciate. Like the guy said, they're taking time out of their own lives to come and play a game that they love, and you not showing them, respect, within the game. Because at the end of the day, when I was playing, and Jerry said earlier, I had kids, I had a girlfriend, I lived with her, I still had to go work, but I loved the game that much. I'd go to work in the morning, go to the gym on the evening, come Thursdays I go to practice, and did that cycle. But then when it came for me to retire, I retired and just walked away from it. And that's pretty sad, or because as a coach, you need to make your players feel, respected with what they're doing in life in general, because they're taking their time out of their life to come and play they love, but at the same time, they're playing for your team. But you didn't make them feel you know, that special person. Doesn't matter, I don't care what kind of player you are, everyone is special on that team. Because if they're taking their time out of their life to come and play this game, you got to respect them for that. And that's that's the only reason I walked away from it, because I didn't feel that within the game. And that's a game I love. I gave my heart and soul with that game. I was so disciplined. Like I said, go to the gym. On a Sunday, we're back out there running track, going swimming, and then get to, to when it comes to doing the combine, we go in there, hit our numbers, season finished, like the guys said, we're back in there again. But none of the coaches will ever say blah blah. You knew it, but sometimes you need to hear it. If you got them some players don't want to hear it, but you got players that do want to hear it. Unfortunately, I was one of them players. Kind of got at it. I walked away from the game and wasn't able to give back. But that's hence why I'm here now. And if I could help out in any way in doing coaching, I will do that. Put the time in, and
reap the reward.
Yeah, without a doubt. So everything that the guys that I played with got to where we got to, we all, we did together. We did as a team, So, especially like me, Jared and Hutch, we was out there grinding Thursdays, Sundays. I couldn't even swim properly. And I'm in the swimming pool with these guys, just trying to get the work in. Just trying to.
I think being part of a team, I think one word